Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. I can see that we've got quite a few attendees already joining us. Just get started in a minute or two. Fantastic. So today we're here to present to you on behalf of Scottish Enterprise and Scotland Can Do an information session on the Can Do Innovation Green Heat Research and Development Feasibility call. So this is a currently open fund which is available. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to read through some of the guidance, but we've got a couple of speakers today where we're going to give you the opportunity to hear more from the SE and Can Do teams, and also give plenty of opportunity for Q&A. So our agenda for today, we've got myself, my name is Emma Church. I'm an impact manager at Built Environment Smarter Transformation, and I project manage a project called Heat Source. Then I'll present to you guys on Built Environment Smarter Transformation and tell you all about how we are supporting zero carbon built environment transition. And then we'll hear from Rachel McCaw from Scottish Enterprises Low Carbon Transition team, speaking about the Green Heat Innovation Support Programme, so the wider package of measures that are in place to support those of you that are innovating and looking at growth in this sector in Scotland. And then finally, we'll hear from Terry Hogg, team leader at the Innovation Systems team at Scottish Enterprise, who is leading on this Scotland Can Do innovation call. And then, like I say, we'll have plenty of opportunity for Q&A. For those of you that aren't familiar with GoToWebinar, you should see that at this side of your screen, there is a sort of information panel. There is a chat box in there, so throughout the call and the presentations, you'll have the opportunity to type in your questions for any and all of the speakers. And when we come to that Q&A session, we'll work our way through those. Don't worry if we don't get to your question. We will culminate or collect all of those, make sure that we have responses, and then in the post-event email, we will share the slides, we will share any answers to missed questions, and we will also share a link to the recording of the webinar today. So please feel free to share that going forward. So without further ado, I'll get on to introducing Built Environment Smarter Transformation. We see ourselves as a launchpad for those that are working in the built environment space to transition to zero carbon. So Built Environment Smarter Transformation, we are part of the Innovation Centre family. You may be aware of or familiar with some of the other innovation centres in Scotland, but we focus on the built environment and construction sector, and I say looking to support that accelerated transition to zero carbon. So we are an international centre of excellence for zero carbon built environment transformation. All of our vision is all about delivering that inclusive value, magnifying impact, and looking at how we can support sustainable economic, social, and environmental impacts. We are all about connections, so collaborations, doing webinars and events like today, and bringing different parts of the sector together, understanding infrastructure needs, business needs, culture, and other things that are required for a successful transition to the built environment, progression to net zero. So ultimately, as an innovation centre, innovation is change that unlocks that new value, and we sit right in the middle between what is known as the triple helix of industry, academia, and public sector organisations, and really provide a connecting role to this ecosystem. So understanding challenges, understanding opportunities, and then bringing people together that come up with what some of the answers are to those challenges, and then take advantage of opportunities that are presented by this kind of global and national transition to net zero. And how we do that is, we support innovation, we support research and development, services and systems design, knowledge exchange, and really creating communities and supporting that end-to-end R&D to commercialisation activity. And so how we do that, we support projects and programmes across 4 main themes. I sit in the sustainability team, but we have digital team, which looks at robotics and building information systems, AI, and other things, all digital related, in the built environment. We have modern methods of construction, so looking at the use of timber and off-site manufacturing, which in itself is a sustainable material, and a method of greater health and safety, greater productivity, less waste as a construction methodology. And then we have retrofit. Obviously, our existing built environment will still be around in years to come, and so we really have to look at not just new build and how we create homes for the future, but how do we make our existing homes and buildings fit for a zero carbon future. And then cross-cutting themes across there are around behaviour and culture change. So, really sharing and driving how and why we should be, more literate around zero carbon, decarbonisation across, our homes and the buildings that we inhabit. And then across the skills and competencies, there is a huge, green jobs and future workforce and upskilling requirement in order to make all of this transition happen, whether that's around green heat system installation or those that are in planning and in other kind of apprenticeship level jobs, and right across the piece there's a huge kind of workforce training, skills and competency needs. So we're all aware of the heat and building strategy and some of the kind of very ambitious targets that we're looking to reach, and innovation is really key to that now, and that's really where we sit, is really trying to support and bridge that gap between that kind of heat decarbonisation space and energy efficiency. So the call that we're discussing today, will it be a green heat call? There are energy efficiency elements to that, and we're really pleased and happy to support this activity and showing and shaping how that can really help us in this transition to net zero and achieving all of the outputs and impacts as outlined in that heating building strategy. There's also, you may be aware of Scotland's innovation strategy. So ultimately, innovation is essential and is going to be essential for meeting any and all net zero targets. We have a real opportunity in Scotland to really be a leader in showcasing how to effectively retrofit existing building assets, and showcase, giving that an opportunity and a platform to showcase some amazing technological innovations, some of which exist and some of which will still to come. So we're really pleased to be part of that innovation landscape and supporting calls like this and organisations like yours through that commercialisation journey. So some of the assets that we have at BEST is our Z Lab, so previously maybe known as our Innovation Factory. So that's an international centre of excellence for built environment and zero carbon transformation. We have a wide variety of pieces of kit that industry, academia and other clients can access around kind of prototyping, testing, training, giving people an opportunity to kind of plug and play to prior to investing in kit themselves, or as part of a kind of wider programme of research and development. And we are really a unique Scottish asset, and actually some of the kit that we have is unique to the UK. For example, our vacuum cross-laminated timber press that we have able to create cross-laminated timber panels for timber construction. Further to that, we've also recently acquired an additional 35,000 square foot of dedicated innovation space. This space is destined to be a national centre of excellence for deep retrofit in Scotland. So again, an opportunity to bring businesses together to understand how collaboration and working together can create and maximise on those socioeconomic and environmental impacts. I mentioned earlier the heat source programme, so this is one activity that we lead on. We deliver this programme on behalf of Scottish Enterprise, Highlands and Islands Enterprise and South of Scotland Enterprise. Ultimately, this is a programme or a cluster builder programme that looks to bring together those that are working in the green heat sector in Scotland to understand some of those challenges, to give platforms and opportunities to share, good practice, best practice, and other case studies around, successful green heat projects and potential things that could have been learned from potentially unsuccessful green heat projects as well. And again, just providing that collaborative platform. If you'd like to find out more, you can sign up to our newsletter. The link to that will be put in our chat. If you want to connect with me separately, we can discuss a little bit more about how you could be involved in the heat source programme. And for those of you that are joining us today with more of an energy efficiency or sustainable materials product or innovation, I wanted to make you aware that we have a large sustainable insulation support mechanism within built environment smarter transformation. In the factory, we have a large thermal bonding line able to take any fibrous material and create insulation from that. And at the moment, we have a circular economy and sustainable materials accelerator call that is open. Again, that link will be put in the chat. And if you would like to find out some more information, that you can click on that link and find out a little bit more about that, or get in touch with myself again, and I can pass you on to the relevant colleague who is leading on that work. So that's just a bit of a whistle-stop tour on the activity that we support at BEST. And yeah, I'm going to pass you over now. Oh, sorry, actually, we're going to do a quick poll. I believe just to keep everybody engaged and just to determine a little bit about your kind of motivations for being here today. If you bear with me, I'll just make sure that we're getting that poll ready.
Yeah, that's a poll launched now, Emma.
Thank you. Fantastic. So we can see. So the first question is on your screen just now. So it'd be just great to get some insights on whether you have an innovation that is requiring support and what type of support you're looking for. Is it around that commercialization piece? Is it clearly R&D, or is it some other type of support? Great, thank you very much for your contributions. Great, so next up we're going to hear about the Green Heat Innovation Support Programme from Scottish Enterprise, and I will hand you over to Rachel McCaw from the Low Carbon Transition team to cover that. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. That was great. Let me just get my screen together. There's so many boxes that come up. So I'm just going to cover the overall Green Heat Innovation Support Programme. But first, our vision. The Scottish low carbon heat industry is a strong and resilient and deployed at scale. It has a robust and resilient Scottish supply chain with ambitious companies supported to grow through technology, innovation, investment services and trade. Built on strong partnerships across industry, it has delivered a step change in the number of jobs, contributing to the Scottish Government ambition to double size the industry from 2018 to 2026. I'm part of the Green Heat team in the Scottish Enterprise, and our aim is to address the opportunities and challenges related to our manufacturing and engineering supply chain capability, by providing companies in Scotland or new investors with the ability to develop new solutions for this growing market and to provide support to invest in new equipment and facilities. So I'm sure most of you are already aware of a lot of these targets, but the green heat revolution is the biggest transformational change in the way that we heat our houses since the Industrial Revolution. Green heating includes both the way we supply heat as well as the thermal performance of buildings being heated. In order to meet these net zero emission targets, these emissions must be addressed. This change must happen now, and the Scottish Government has committed 1.8 billion over the next 5 years. 2030 is the milestone date, as the Scottish Government has set a target of 1 million homes and 50,000 non-domestic buildings to have net zero emissions by 2030. To maintain progress towards our statutory emission reduction targets, heating installations must scale up and provide at least 124,000 systems installed by 2021 and 2026. There will be also a ban in gas boilers in new build homes from 2024. Now, the scale of this opportunity for businesses is significant. There are in excess over 400 companies in the low carbon heat sector in Scotland. This can be identified in our heat directory that we can provide you a link for after the webinar. As a result of the increase in companies in the supply chain and manufacturing sectors, we do expect to see significant job growth of around 16,400 jobs by the late 2020. Now, the Scottish Government is developing a robust regulatory framework to drive change, as well as recognising the need to provide support measures such as the £300,000 Heat Network Fund to drive the transformation change required. But also, we have our Green Heat Innovation Support Programme, which you'll hear more of now in the coming slides. So about this programme, it's £17.6 million is available in the next 4 years for Scottish companies, so that's until 2026, to accelerate the rollout and adoption of green heating solutions and associated products. And that's rolling back to the importance that Emma was mentioning, as well as my previous slides. Delivered in partnership with the Scottish Government, Highlands and Islands and South of Scotland enterprise agencies, this programme supports the growth of Scotland's green heat markets in areas including energy efficiency products, green heat equipment such as your heat pumps and your heat networks, supported solutions including that's your thermal storage, enabling solutions such as digital and smart controls, and green heat manufacturing or research and development in Scotland. There are 3 different levels of support available, and this just depends on which route your project is going to take. This includes large research and development and capital grant funding. The grant values will vary depending on your proposal type, so whether it's an R&D or a capital investment project, for example. The level of grant support will depend on the project activity, the size of your company, and the location of the project. And once an amount has been allocated, you'll be required to fund the rest of the project independently. All companies have to be based in Scotland, or at least have plans to be based in Scotland. With this one, applications is always on. And your grant should be focused on product development, industrial testing of new products, system integration, manufacturing process improvement, or supporting new manufacturing operations. Now, your application should demonstrate clear potential for reducing the cost of technologies, improving productivity or integration into the Scottish building stock, or supporting Scotland as a location for manufacturing. If this area of funding does interest you, visit the Scottish Enterprise website. We have a dedicated page on the Green Heat Innovation Support Programme, and we'll ask you to complete an expression of interest form that you'll download, and then you'll be invited after that to submit a full grant application. We also have another route that you can take, and that's feasibility studies and can-do innovation challenges. That's why you're all here today. Terry Hogg, my colleague, will go on to explain this in a little bit more detail shortly. But just to mention the third application opportunity, and that is European funding. And this is called the Clean Energy Transition Partnership. It's a collaboration between the European Commission and economic development and research funding agencies all across Europe. Its main purpose is to provide funding for transnational collaborative research, development and innovation projects tackling key challenges and transformation of the energy sector. And it's all about developing new technologies for global market opportunities. £5 million is available for Scottish businesses and partnering universities or research organisations. And this is an opportunity for companies to access funding in, like I said, research and innovation projects with that kind of green transition angle. And it's a great opportunity to collaborate with over 30 different European countries, which brings a lot of its own benefits that we can go into more detail on another call. Funding's up to 50% of eligible costs for SMEs and 40% for larger companies. And you can see here on the slide the range of topics that are covered, including heating and cooling technologies, as well as your clean integration in the built environment. You'll see the logo in the right-hand corner there. That's the Scottish European Green Energy Centre. That's the team that I sit in within the Green Heat team. And our role and big focus is to support you to access these European funding opportunities. It can be tricky to navigate, so we guide you through the whole application process, identifying partners, meeting other European partners to work up these kind of projects. So I can chat to you about that in more detail afterwards. There was also a webinar this morning to provide more detail, and we can share the link with you for that as well. And just to finally cover, are you eligible? Well, if your project can help accelerate the use of green heating solutions and associated products, we want to hear from you. Like I said before, you need to be a company based in Scotland or looking to invest in Scotland, plan to use existing green heat technology in an innovative way, and your focus should centre on product development, industrial testing of new products, system integration, or manufacturing process improvement, which will all lead to green heat and energy efficiency solutions. I'll now hand you over to Terry Hogg to explain the can-do feasibility funding. Thank you.
Hi Terry, we'll just do the poll here quickly with Emma. All right, and then we'll share your screen afterwards. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks very much Rachel for that, that was really insightful. Just another quick poll, so for those of you that did indicate in the previous one that you do have a green heat innovation, we're just curious to find out a kind of broad brush, which one of these challenge areas does your innovation address? Is it more on energy demand reduction, low carbon heating systems and their components, control and optimization of heating systems, energy efficiency measures, so products that are not direct heating systems themselves, or installation and deployment innovation? It would be really good to hear from what sort of areas that you are kind of working on. Keep the poll open for a couple more minutes if everyone can continue to vote. Great, just a couple more minutes, or a couple more seconds, sorry. All of these areas are really crucial. And there we go, we can see the results instantly. So looks like the majority of you are kind of working on innovations on low carbon heating systems and their components, which is quite interesting insights for Terry and the team. But yeah, kind of equal across the rest of the elements around demand reduction, control and optimization, and energy efficiency. Fantastic. So yeah, without further ado, we will now hear from Terry Hogg from the leading on the Can Do Scotland feasibility call, and a little bit more about eligibility, what you're looking for. And again, please, just another shout out to the audience to please populate the chat with any of your questions, either for Rachel on some of those other funding opportunities that were raised, or for Terry more specifically on this one. Excellent. Over to you, Terry.
Sorry, Terry, do you want to just pop your wee mic on?
There's it now. Sorry, it wasn't
fantastic. Yeah, that's you. Got the screen okay?
Yeah, that's me. Thank you. Can you see my screen okay?
Just yet, give us a wee second.
You see that okay, Emma?
No, can't see it just yet. I'll try that again. 1 wee second.
Okay.
Yeah, that's us now, Terry. Fantastic.
Okay, thank you, Emma. Thanks, Danielle. Thanks, everyone. My name's Terry Hogg, and yeah, you can get all the technology in the world right, but you get a numpty driving it. It's a disaster, so sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm Terry Hogg, I'm manager of our innovation systems team, and just going to spend a few minutes, 10 minutes or so, just rapidly going through the innovation challenge call. Make sure you leave some time for questions at the end. So first thing to say is that the Can Do part really represents a Team Scotland approach. Rachel touched on it. We're very fortunate to have funding from Scottish Government to run this programme and this call within it, but we're very much supported by our colleagues in Highlands and Islands, South of Scotland agency, and also our colleagues at the Built Environment Smart Transformation team as well. So it really is genuinely a Team Scotland approach, albeit Scottish Enterprise running the challenge at the moment. So as Rachel mentioned, this particular call is part of a wider support programme, and within that programme there's significant innovation funding available, all really aimed at the same thing, as making sure that we can make companies like yourself aware of the opportunities in the rapidly growing green heat market, and hopefully through the innovation support enable you to develop, to support your innovations that can develop commercialised products, processes and services, all with the ultimate aim of supporting the decarbonisation of heating buildings. That's domestic, commercial, rebuild and retrofit. And all given Scottish Enterprises' role and Scottish Government's funding is to support the development of Scotland's low carbon economy through the growth of companies by developing those new products and services into those new markets. So Rachel touched on the large R&D. I'm going to take you through this R&D feasibility call. Rachel touched on it, just to flag, we're also working on a procurement of innovation call focused specifically on retrofit of social housing. So if there are any local authorities or registered social landlords in the audience, or any companies that are engaged with them, we would really like to speak to them as we shape this retrofit call. I'll follow shortly and we'll complement this call. But it's just a shout out, just if you're in the audience or you've got folks in your networks that might be interested in that, drop the details in the chat or contact us later. So anyway, on to this Green Heat R&D Feasibility Challenge. Now, the idea behind this challenge is really to develop, to develop a pipeline of the most impactful green heat innovation projects through it as a competitive call. So really what we're looking to do is flush out the best innovations and support the best projects, the best applications, looking to possibly support about 10 to 15 over the next 3 to 4 months to detailed designs and conduct technical and commercial feasibility. As R&D feasibility, you should be looking to develop and commercialise products and services. This isn't a fund to support you to do feasibility about adopting green heat in your own premises. This is about R&D and the commercialisation of new products, new services and processes. And the funded projects, if you're successful through this feasibility phase, you should be looking to then move into a development demonstration, prototype solutions and the commercialisation of. As I say, it's about developing a good pipeline of quality projects that we can work with you. No guarantee of future funding, but what we will guarantee is we work with you to support you where required, support you to identify and access larger support packages that can take you to that next stage. And we've got an eye on the existing Scottish Enterprise larger R&D funding that Rachel mentioned, but we've also got one eye on UK funding as well, and levering more in to Scotland through this exercise. So in terms of the scope of the challenge, as I mentioned, it's about decarbonising heat in buildings. So that's commercial buildings, domestic buildings, retrofit, new build. We've identified some challenge areas. There's further detail of this within the call documentation and some links into the results of research and industrial input into identifying where there's potential opportunities to improve the quality, reduce the cost of low carbon heating solutions. I know those buckets, if you like, are actually, it's encouraging to see so many is lining up to those categories within the poll, which is really encouraging. But we've got, we're looking at first things first, design out the need for heat. That's the primary place to start. Encouraging to see some companies in there, and that links nicely into the testing and the development R&D capability that Emma touched on as well there. We're then looking at the low carbon heat systems themselves, a range of options in there. Four is heat pumps, and innovations that can again improve functionality, quality, reduce cost. Heat pumps pretty established technology, but still lots of scope there to optimise on particular building configurations and archetypes, and also looking at the non-capital equipment. The installation costs are particularly a hot topic and a real live challenge that we're keen for folks to find solutions to. And then into the wider geothermal heat networks and looking at innovations within that whole system. Then what's going to be really what is and will continue to grow in its importance, the area of energy storage and thermal energy storage, in particular for this heat call. So looking at systems that can use improvements, innovations in materials, configuration of systems, optimization, control of them within that thermal energy storage area, and also the whole house or the whole building design solution, the whole system integration and control optimization. That's a real live area. There's a lot of merit in looking at existing technology, how they're configured, how they're optimized, how they're integrated, and how that control system can improve things. That's a steer we've got from industry, but the important thing is with all innovation, we are open to all innovations that can achieve that objective of decarbonising heat and ideally contributing to economic development. So please don't be constrained by those areas, but those are areas that's came out within the industrial research to try and point you towards. So in terms of the eligibility, I'll just briefly go through this. So I'll probably laboured this point, but it is an R&D feasibility project. So we are looking for you to be minded to develop and commercialise your products, your services, and processes. This is not about a feasibility project for implementing green heat solutions in your own premises, for instance. It's about that commercialisation angle. It's short and sharp, 3 to 4 months, really giving you the opportunity to kick the tyres of your project, justify the case for taking forward and leaving an internal resources and hopefully external support to do that. Yeah, small scale funding, 30 to 50k, but our experience is that that's enough to do that kicking the tyres. It is 100% funded, so that's a bit of a carrot. We want to flush out, and we want to make sure that there's projects that if you're struggling to find internal finance, that are on your pipeline, but maybe just not at the forefront of your current operations. It's really to make sure that the finding 50% funding at this point isn't a constraint. That's why the 100% funding is in there. We want to flush out and fund the best projects rather than the folks who can lever the match funding. Yeah, it's short and sharp, 3 to 4 months, but the project must complete by 22nd of December there. In terms of eligibility, this is open for businesses in Scotland. That's the constraint we've got. You need to be registered in Scotland and registered and located in Scotland. We've also got what I call public sector organisations moving towards us quite rightly. You've got to have a commitment to fair work principles. So that's paying the real living wage at £10.90 an hour at the moment. We aren't set up for collaborations. It's a single applicant. If you have partners, they can join your project, but they would be as a supplier to you as a single applicant process. In terms of eligible project costs, really just the general ones you would expect from an R&D, your sort of internal costs, labour costs, looking at your materials, any external expertise you need to bring in, and also we've got a contribution to overheads. It's a very simple way of calculating it. We limit it to 20% of the salary costs that you've got within the project cost, just as an easy way for you to calculate it and also to audit it and pay it. So in terms of the process, really simple actually. It's a short, sharp project, and we've designed the application process to suit. You can download the form. You'll see for yourself. It's really easy, really short, limited amount of text you can put in. It shouldn't take too long to put together. And equally, it's a short and sharp exercise to evaluate them and score them as well. So you complete the application form, send it into the email address there, and the team will be evaluating them. In terms of the timeline, call up on the 9th of May, closes at noon. That's important to realise that, noon on the 7th of July. So that's 3 weeks tomorrow. So you've still got time to get your skates on, but you've still got time to apply in the short aspect of the form. We will turn those around and evaluate them by the end of July, tell you the results, and looking to get contracts issued and projects start by end of August, and as I say, finishing just before Christmas. And that's me, so we'll leave it there and open up to any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Terry. That was really great. Yeah, lots of topics and lots of things covered there. But we do have a couple of questions. Rachel, are you all right to just pop your mic and your camera back on? Because I think the first question is actually for yourself. So there's just a quick question from an audience member on what are the limits of the Green Heat Innovation Support Programme. So some of those other, I think the R&D fund maybe is the one that's been referred to in terms of a financial limit. Is there a lower and upper limit in terms of what the fund can provide?
That's a good question. If I understand, it's, I'll need to go back and check, but I'll just answer that and add it to the chat box if that's okay. Yeah,
absolutely, no problem. You figured that one out. And a question for you, Terry, from Chris. Would the Can Do Challenge cover the development of digital tools, for example, retrofit software?
So yeah, I mean that's a really good question. So I mean within the other, yeah, that's exactly what we're getting at. So anything, the key thing is it's an innovation. You look to commercialise it, and you can show a material impact on decarbonising heat through that innovation's adoption. So yeah, yeah, I would like to say definitely, but it sounds like a potential scope. And what I would say as well, if you want to talk about it in a little more detail, just drop a question into the inquiry email, and that'll be picked up with the team. They can easily chat through in a bit more detail on that one.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll be sure to make sure that inquiry email address is popped into the chat box for everybody to maybe take a copy of that if you have got maybe something really specific that you would like to ask, or a particularly unusual situation, or you just want to sense check before you go ahead and fill out a full application. So we'll make sure that we do that. Another question for Terry from Stuart: is there any limit on the percentage of contractors in the application? So if it's
it's a really good question. We actually mulled this over, and it's a really good question because it came up on the last call that we don't actually have it in just now, but it needs to clearly be something that you are running. So if it's 100% contracted out, then that's just ridiculous, and it's someone else's project, obviously. So I think we're trying to apply common sense and not be overly bureaucratic with this. So there is no constraint there, but it needs to clearly be something that you're fronting, and not only that after the feasibility project, that it's clearly something that you I want to develop the IP, you're going to commercialise it. But there are no hard and fast rules on it as such at the moment. But it would be evaluated in terms of looking at the team, the capability, and that. You know, if it was skewed towards a consultant running the feasibility for you and no one else, then that wouldn't be. I wouldn't have thought that would score very highly.
Yeah, I think that maybe leads on to a question that I had around, you know, any kind of, so if someone has an innovation, but they maybe don't have that in-house expertise or access to specific bits of equipment or kit, then, you know, obviously they need to find some partners to deliver, or subcontractors to deliver that work, whether that be, you know, a commercial RTO, research and technology organisation, or an academic partner, for example. Are you guys able to provide any support or signposting to that, or would that be something that people would come to us? Yeah.
Well, you know, by all means, I think you the best place in terms of that R&D infrastructure and knowledge. So we encourage folks to contact you directly, but equally, you know, if you're looking for wider input, then, you know, we wouldn't obviously, you know, point you to you know, favoured suppliers, but certainly we mentioned academic resource. So there's an organisation called Energy Technology Partnership, for instance. That might be a good network to make sure you've got the right expertise, but we've got a very good knowledge of where the other innovation centres might be able to lend a hand, where there might be other bits of test and demonstration infrastructure, or if we don't know the answer, we could, you know, without overcommitting, we've certainly got a good network of folks that if you're looking for something particular, I'm pretty sure we could come up with some suggestions.
Great. And just a follow-up to that, would applicants need to have all of those people, you know, directly identified in the application, or is there scope to say, you know, we need this expertise, but we don't know exactly who it's going to be yet, but we know that there is that expertise? Is there scope within that kind of evaluation period or beyond to make sure that all the right partners are in place by the time the project starts?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would encourage folks as much as possible, obviously, to get that in place, because it's short, it's sharp, it's rapid, and they're constrained in terms of, you know, finish time. So yeah, but no, you don't need to have it all in place. However, would encourage it, and it just allows you to be a bit more accurate with your costings as well, obviously.
Yeah, so I think for those in the audience that are thinking about potential academic partners, yeah, reaching out to those, whether you have those links already or you need to find some links, yeah, definitely get in touch with ourselves or Terry or Rachel or ETP to make sure you've got that right person lined up. Again, conscious that starting in August is about the same time as the academic year will start, and so sometimes there can be constraints around capacities within academic communities as well. So again, that early engagement is really key. Fantastic. So just coming back to a couple of audience questions from Philip. Relating to the eligible project costs, can you explain the limitation of £60,000 equivalent salary when it comes to working with external expertise? So some expert partners that Philip is keen to engage with will charge day rates which are far higher than a 60k equivalent.
Yeah, so the 60k equivalent, and again, we'll take an action to confirm this, but that's I understand that's an internal cost. That's just a Scottish Enterprise R&D cap that's coming from Scottish Government policy, and it's to you know, try and as much as possible be sort of fair and equitable about things. You know, there is an argument about what that should be and when that should be raised, but it's out with our control. So that's a kind of hard and fast requirement from and what our eligibility criteria to a large extent are lifted from our Smart Scotland application. We've really just shrunk it, made it simpler, but the basic premise is operating under those principles. I will take action. I'm pretty sure it's the external costs. You know, there's a bit of flexibility in there, but if you can take the details, Emma, and go back and just confirm that one. But it's certainly, you know, pushed into the internal sort of salary cost, staff costs, rather than the external costs, as I understand it.
Okay, so yeah, so just to reiterate that Terry will confirm, but it seems as though that 60,000 equivalent is to do with the applicant's internal salary cost. So you'll be looking to cap your day rate for what you would be claiming for as an organisation in terms of time spent.
Yeah, Sorry to cut across you, and just to say that doesn't mean to say if you've got salary costs that are higher than that, they can't be included. But it just means that the grant will only cover up to 60k. To pay the rest yourselves, I'm afraid.
Yeah, whereas any subcontractor costs will just be the subcontractor costs and can be potentially fully.
We might look at the score in terms of there's a value for money criteria that would come into it, and it might be, if it was ridiculous, but generally, it's, if it's the right expertise, external expertise, and it's market rate, then it is what it is. But there is that constraint on the internal cost of the system.
Great. And from Chris to Rachel, so is from Chris's understanding, from Rachel's slide on the Green Heat Innovation Support Programme, is that the fund is focused on manufacturing and not services relating to customer journey or installation.
Yeah, so your project should focus on product development, the testing of new products, system integration, manufacturing process, rather than the services angle, yeah.
It sounds as though, Terry, that the Can-Do fund might be more appropriate for something that is more service, installation, consumer focused.
Yeah, it's more, by nature of it being early stage feasibility, it's other than being innovative, genuinely being R&D and leading to the commercialisation of products, services, processes, then that's fine.
Great. And an important one, can one company submit more than one application?
We've had debates, but this is the third time we've run it, and yes, you can. There's debates about whether we should allow that or not. We've only had 2 instances where that was the case, and in both instances, so you can do it, but there would be a real scrutiny on whether or not you had the capability, the capacity to deliver parallel projects, and there was clearly the team members were able to perform multiple projects, but there's nothing stopping you applying. But what you would need to do is so it's one application, one project. If you did have 2 projects that you want to submit, it need to be 2 separate applications.
Great. And another question here, does the call eligibility include companies that intend to locate in Scotland but aren't currently registered here?
Yeah, that's another great question. We again have taken a flexible approach, because we, along with encouraging the existing Scottish supply chain and encouraging companies that may be thinking about starting and can register before the competition start date, we would like to also try and encourage companies that are thinking about locating, encourage them over the line. So yes, that you would be, but the expectation would be that you can clearly, even at this stage, the benefit is clearly demonstrated to impact into Scotland, and there is a genuine intent to locate and benefit Scotland from an economic development perspective, but it is a little bit looser.
Yeah, great. And 2 kind of related questions here. So one being, would a project looking to decarbonise industrial process heat be eligible for the Can-Do challenge? And then secondly, can decarbonisation of heat include use of heat for production? I think they're quite linked questions.
2 really good examples, and no to both of them, I'm afraid. And it's only because from a policy perspective that that process, that energy efficiency and industrial processes is dealt with elsewhere with other funds. So I'm afraid in this instance, no. It's purely related to the decarbonising of heat, to the heat in the buildings. So anything related to process efficiency and decarbonising the processes, there's a specific policy area and specific funding in place to support that as well. So unfortunately, in this instance, no. If someone isn't sure what that is, if they're given the details, we can point you to that.
Absolutely. And a question around, can legal costs towards commercialisation, for example, contract suite and regulatory review, be included in the cost?
As an R&D cost, yes, but it's proportionate. This is a feasibility project, so common sense will need to prevail there. So there are aspects where things like doing a kind of patent landscape, making sure you've got the IP. So answer to your question is yes, but the ethos of this is it's an R&D feasibility to develop and ascertain technical and commercial feasibility. So I suppose it's about being proportionate. So but technically speaking, yeah, legal expertise would be a cost that could be incurred.
Great, thank you. And a question for me, where is the new accelerator lab? What are the capabilities and facilities, and how do you expect it will run? So the accelerator lab is located at Best's current facility. So we are at Blantyre, so at Hamilton International Technology Park, where the existing Zero Carbon Innovation Lab is located. And the building next door, we are actually conducting a deep retrofit on that kind of mixed use industrial and office space. And so it's undergoing refurbishment and will be furbished with incubator space and training and event space and other technologies or other things that will support commercialization of products and services for retrofit. And yes, so that's probably about 12 months away from coming online. But like I say, we have our existing Z Lab and we have existing test and demo and other kind of prototyping and other capabilities at Built Environment Smarter Transformation. So if you have a more specific question around kind of need for your project, do get in touch and we can discuss a little bit further. And just to say for everybody watching, we do run monthly tours to around our Innovation Z factory, and you can sign up for that on Eventbrite for one of Tuesday every month, and you can come along and see the different bits of kit that we have. And so someone's asking, can they arrange a call with you specifically, Terry, to discuss their project, or should they go through their regular SE contact, or would it be better, I think, maybe join up the dots between the two?
Yeah, I'm more than happy doing that, but just so we don't miss, not me personally obviously, but just so we don't drop the ball on anything, if people would put the inquiries in through inquiry line, it's just there's a wee management system where the team pick them up and cool to see what's happened, and likewise we can connect with the SE team as well. So more than happy to do that, but if you don't mind, just maybe drop the initial inquiry and even just note, look, want to speak to Terry type thing, and that'll come through. So it's just so we can manage it really. And I'm going on holiday after next week as well, so if you happen to do it, and then somebody else can pick it up in the meantime.
Fantastic. And a question around our project is more development than research. Is that okay?
Oh, hallelujah, that's exactly what we're after. I mean, the research in the sense that, not blue sky research, we're looking at ultimately commercialisation, economic impact. It does need to fit the R&D definition, but yeah, if it's as long as it's not on the market, if it's your development, you're past the research stage, then yes, it's flexible in terms of the technology readiness level, if you want to be innovation geeky about it. That's absolutely fine.
Fantastic. And can the feasibility be 100% desktop based?
Yeah, it can be, definitely. As I say, we've had instances where folks have been doing a lot of kind of one recent project actually, there's a lot of sort of 3D modelling, designing 3D modelling. The majority was producing a desk-based model and validating the technical feasibility through that. So that could be fine. Yeah.
Great. And someone's just asking about a kind of technical issue. If the application is online, can you save and edit the application and then submit? It actually looks like it's a downloadable application. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a downloadable PDF, and we've done so just to make it easy and constrain the fields. So basically, download it, save it, edit it, and when you're happy with it, email it.
Great, and so that's to be emailed to inquiries@scottent.co.uk by 12 noon on the 7th of July.
Yeah, no burning the midnight oil on Friday. Try to be nice to folks' families as well, that's important.
Yes, excellent. And just a couple more questions. What would be the implications if the product delivery deadline exceeded the 22nd of December deadline
Okay,
in terms of the kind of project.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a feasibility project, so by its nature, there will be, if it's successful, further work to be done, but we're very clear for good reasons that what we're funding, so you need to figure out what you can do between that start date and that 22nd and include that. If you've got further work you need to do, then that's a separate project. Or if your project slips, and I'm afraid contractually, the contract will stipulate a project start date, a project end date, and when the final claim comes, the costs incurred and spent up until the 26th of December will be the costs that are eligible. Anything out with that, you'll have to pay for yourself, basically.
Okay, great. And in terms of, would each project be assigned, a Scottish Enterprise project manager to kind of manage that slippage and keep on top of that? Is that the expectation?
The expectation is that it's short and sharp, the 3-4 month period projects. The contract's clear. We do, our team drop in monthly just to really make sure everything's okay. But you will be, as you would expect, you'll be responsible yourself for a delivery of it. It's mainly from a project management perspective to flag any issues, but also to keep close to an additional support. We have also got innovation specialists we assign to each of the projects, to particularly if you're looking to proceed, that they can then start working and be in a position to help you identify an additional, even non-financial expertise that's going to be required, like a bit of IP advice that we spoke about there. But certainly in terms of you want to go forward, then you've got someone that really understands your projects, able to help bring additional finances in if that's appropriate.
Fantastic. And another slightly technical question on how and when are payments made?
Yep, no, that's fine. So again, just to ease the process, we pay upon signing the contract, we pay a third up front to help the cash flow. And because they're short and sharp, we just have an end payment. So it's a third up front, and then final claim and end report. The final payment is the 2/3 of the project's paid.
Excellent, thank you. And something a little bit more specific, we have an existing technology that resolves hard water issues. We want to further research to establish and quantify the benefits in relation to energy reduction and energy saving. Would this be eligible?
Oh, good question. I mean, I suppose it's dangling in there, the heat reduction aspect, maybe from, I don't know, boiler efficiency or whatever. So yeah, I suppose technically, but again, if you want to discuss that a little bit more detail with a private context, then happy to do that. As I say, the key thing is the innovation, if adopted, would make a material impact on decarbonising the building, the heat in buildings. So energy reduction and low carbon energy provision would be in there. So I suppose on face value, it kind of looks like it makes that, but there could be other things in there. So I'd be keen to maybe speak to you in a bit more detail on that one, but it sounds like it's worth exploring anyway.
Excellent. I think we've managed to get to all of our questions.
Can I just come in and answer Kareen's question at the beginning? Apologies for that. So for R&D grant, the minimum per project size is 200k. It's open to discussion in the millions for, say, a bigger inward investment project, for example. In terms of the intervention rates, the R&D grant maximum intervention rates are for SME 35%, non-SME 25%, and for capital investment projects, depending on the location and the size of the project, SME is between 20 and 40%, and a non-SME is 15 to 20%. Happy to add that additional information to the slides if it's getting shared around, just so saves everyone scribbling it down while I talk.
Fantastic. No, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you both for your contributions today. And if what we'll do is we'll combine all of those questions, make sure there's an answer to everybody. But I think we did get to I'd say 90% of the questions there. Thank you very much to our audience for coming along. Sorry, Terry.
No, I'm just before you're closing up, I just wanted to thank you and Danielle and the Built Environment Smart Transformation team for putting on the event in absolutely no time at all, and such a professional manner as well, just from the SE team and Rachel as well. Thanks.
Excellent.
Thanks for us.
No, thank you. Really pleased to support. And yeah, just a final thanks to all the audience for joining today, for participating. If you've got any questions for Terry, you know, that inquiries email is the best place to drop any specific questions. We will circulate the slides, we will circulate the recording and the Q&A session and all of the responses. Looking forward to seeing what applications come through. And yes, everybody's here ready to answer any questions that you have beyond today. But thanks very much, and we'll see you for our next event. Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.